from
One
Delaware.
of the joys for me is serving here, is serving in the, as the chair of the Environment and Public Works Committee, right next to Ben Cardin, and about 2 seats away from Sheldon Whitehouse. And we appreciate your participation, your leadership, and membership on our committee as well, Madam President. We got a bunch of pages sitting down here in the well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they're high school seniors, juniors, seniors, and they're probably like 16, 17, maybe 18 years old. Pretty soon they're going to head out in the world and hopefully go on and do bigger and better things than we have, their parents and grandparents have done. I want to make sure, I think my colleagues want to make sure that they actually have a planet to grow up on and a planet to grow old on. When I was about their age, I became a midshipman, Navy midshipman, and raised my right hand to defend the country and Constitution, and in those days. And I learned a little bit about leadership when I was not much older than these guys. And one of the things I learned about leadership is the importance of leadership by example. It's not do what I say, but rather do what I do. One of the great things about going to the COP under the leadership of Senator Cardin with our colleagues was we didn't just go and tell the rest of the world do X, Y, or Z. We went and said, this is what we're doing, and this is why it's important, and we want you to join us in this effort. And more and more folks around the country, around the world rather, are doing that. Today, I think a majority of Americans agree that climate change actually is a major threat, maybe the major threat facing our planet and the people who inhabit it. Every day, Americans see the impacts of climate crisis that's before us, particularly in the form of more frequent and destructive storms throughout the planet. A decade ago, the United States experienced, I'm told, 10 weather disasters, 10, that cost at least $1 billion each. 10 that cost at least $1 billion each. This year, there have been 25 of these billion-dollar events. That includes this summer's wildfire on Hawaiian island of Maui, which tragically took some 100 lives, our nation's deadliest wildfire in a century. We also know that 2023 was not one of the hottest years on this planet. It was the hottest year on our planet, without question. Scientists tell us that global temperatures are going to keep rising if we don't do more to translate away or to transition away from fossil fuels. So, Madam President, the question that I'm asking myself, and I think we need to ask ourselves, is what are we going to do about it? And as Senator Cardin and Senator Whitehouse have laid out, we're doing a lot. Can we do more? Yeah, we can do more. Are we going to do more? Yes, we're going to do more. And we're going to hear from the chairman of the Finance Committee here a little bit, and he'll talk a bit about the great work that's been done under his leadership in the Finance Committee to make sure that we follow through and build on what we've already begun. But the United States, well, I think we're getting our act together on this front. For a long time, we were the biggest emitter of greenhouse gases on the planet. Far and away the biggest. And I think we have a moral obligation, having put so much greenhouse gases up into the air, I think we have a moral obligation to actually lead in the reduction of emissions and make sure that these young people up here and my grandchildren and your grandchildren all have a planet to grow up on. I want to just commend Senator Cardin. I think you did a great job leading our CODEL. It was an honor to be a part of that CODEL. I want to say how much I enjoyed it. It was bipartisan, and we ran into a bunch of folks from the House of Representatives over there, Democrats and Republicans, so we had a good bipartisan, bicameral feel, and came away and felt good about it, really good about it. At COP28, and Senator Cardin has already mentioned this, but our message to the rest of the world was the United States is I'm tempted to say once again, but I'll just say is again leading the global effort to tackle the climate crisis. And my colleagues have already mentioned a couple of ways that we are doing that. So, it's been mentioned Kigali. You heard of the people, maybe the people at home watching, they say, what in the world is Kigali? Well, it refers to a treaty That's a treaty that actually reduces the emission of something called HFCs. What are HFCs? My wife said to me about a year or two ago, stop talking about HFCs. Nobody really cares about HFCs. Well, here's why they do. They're a refrigerant. We all have refrigerators, we have air conditioners, we have freezers and chillers and coolers, and the ingredient that helps make all those work is HFCs, hydrofluorocarbon. That's the good news. They work, you know, it cools things off. But the bad news, it's that when those HFCs leak into the atmosphere, they're 1,000 times more potent than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. I'll say that again, 1,000 times more potent than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. So the idea of reducing those and phasing out those HFCs is a big deal. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing that. That one thing alone is worth about 0.5% centigrade toward meeting our goals coming out of Paris Accords a year, 2 years ago. That the agreement out of Paris was 1.5 degrees Celsius reduction, and we, from this one thing alone, with the HFCs, we're going to get a third of that. But following COP26, we put our heads down and we got to work, and after months of intense negotiations, we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, big provisions, and the legislation that came out of our committee, Mr. Chairman, which included almost $370 billion in incentives for clean energy and climate change, for the largest ever investment in climate action and environmental justice. Where I come from, that is real money, and hopefully we'll do even more on that. But soon after we'd done that, the Senate came together on a bipartisan basis to ratify the Kigali Amendment that I've talked about. That's a big deal, and we got to make sure that we actually implement it as it's intended. But if you take them together, these historic wins are advancing our nation's climate goals. And importantly, they're also helping to create hundreds of thousands of good-paying, clean energy jobs in our country, many more around the world. We have heard for years we can't address climate change, we can't address the warming of our planet and create jobs and economic opportunity. Hogwash. We can do both. And if you look at the inflation numbers, inflation is down. If you look at the employment numbers are up. And the work that we're doing on the greenhouse gas side is going forward. So we're doing it all. We're doing it all. But still, we are clear-eyed that there's more work to be done. COP28 resulted in, as Senator Card has mentioned, the historic global agreement that's called Transitioning Away from Fossil Fuels, which are causing global warming, and our success in achieving our shared climate goals will depend on the action that we take in the decade to come. With that in mind, as Chairman of the Environment and Public Works Committee, I remain focused in overseeing the implementation of our recent climate wins, and over the next year, I hope we're going to build on our nation's climate goals, including advancing bipartisan legislation to strengthen our nation's nuclear industry. I think Senator Cardin may have referred to that, and helping confirm President Biden's nominees for key leadership posts. I believe the last time I checked, nuclear energy is providing, I don't know, half or more than half of our carbon-free electricity in this country. And we have the potential to build on that, and we need to do that, and hopefully we will. I want to close by the words spoken down to the other end of this chamber, at the other end of the a couple of years ago, French President Macron came and spoke to a bipartisan House, Senate gathering. And he said in talking to us about climate change and global warming, he said, there's no planet B. That's what he said, no planet B. This is the only planet we're going to have. No planet B. We got to make every day count. And I think what we've heard coming out of the COP28, we have every intention of helping to lead this planet to that direction. And with that, I yield the floor. I want to again thank Senator Cardin. I yield back to him. Thank him for terrific leadership
Madam President.
in the COP and so many other forums. Thank you.
Let me again thank